This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day, and that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Hello, minions and mortals. This is Fang VonWrathenstein from my in-laws' basement. And these Beanie Babies say, "You're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast, and I love you. I'm Ty." Mwah, 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 mwah.
1, 2, 3, 4. The Brutally Delicious podcast. The Brutally Delicious podcast. The Brutally Delicious podcast. The Brutally Delicious podcast.
Hey, Ty, thanks so much for joining us here. So,
Thanks for having me. Love being here.
hey, so you just got back from Japan?
Yes, yeah, Japan. We went on tour in Japan with Seven Spires. It was super duper fun. We actually ended up bringing 40 Patreon backers along with us, so we had 53 people on the trip in total, which was pretty wild. We ended up we ended up only missing one train, which was good. You think like 40 to 50 Americans, being in Japan for the first time, running around trying to catch every train going from city to city, that we'd be missing a lot of those trains just because people are like, oh, you're trying to control a group of 40 people all at the same time. But thankfully, we only missed one train, and it was only 9 of our party of 53, who missed the train. I guess for the people who've never been to Japan before, you're thinking, oh, couldn't you just hold it and get there, run for the tracks and hold the door or something if you're used to a subway or whatever. Yeah. The bullet trains in Japan are exceedingly strict. So they have these hydraulic doors that open, and they stay open for exactly 60 seconds. And that is it. And then they will close on you. They will you do not want to be in the path of those doors, because you will lose a limb. They will destroy you. So we getting 40 people plus luggage plus everything, running to the doors, 60 seconds, getting everybody on there. We managed to hit every single bullet train except for one, and again that was only 9 people, so super fun. And outside of that, the shows were great. Outside of the bullet train debacles, the shows are fantastic. We had twice to 3 times the amount of turnout as we did our last tour. Hanging out with Spires all the time was super duper fun. We've been friends for years, and they're just amazing people and wonderful, awesome people. Yeah. And just reconnecting with the Japanese fan base was really cool. We saw a lot of people who came to multiple shows who had the tour shirt from 2022 when we played over there, which is it was super cool to see. And also somebody pointed this out. I think it was my wife pointed this out. I think we have a large contingent of Japanese grandma fans for some reason. I'm not sure why, but we have there's a lot of older ladies who really like Lords of the Trident, and I'm just trying to figure out how that has happened, But I'm here for it. I fondly remember the last show. Well, it was the second to last show on our last tour. We went. It was this multi-genre show. There was a woman with acoustic guitar opening, and then there was this other band, and then us. There was this 90-year-old woman in the front, at one of the tables near the front, and I'm like, oh, she must be here for the first band, for the acoustic lady, And by the time we took the stage, she was out of the table and she was on the rail. And she was headbanging. And I mean, I can't express to you how this woman was 90. She was old woman. And I'm like, fucking rock and roll grandma right here. Hell yeah. So, it was, so yeah, so maybe she told her friends and her friends came out to the show. I don't know. But, rock and roll grandma, hell yeah, man.
But I was literally going to ask, is the vibe old sweet bake you cookies, or is it Doro Pesh? but
it was more on the side of old sweet bakey cookies than Doro. We did receive a lot of cookies. Now that you mention it, I didn't put two and two together. But yeah, no, the fans and the bands that we play with, they were very, very sweet. They would give us gifts. They would give us souvenirs. We came back from every show with like snacks for later, just because fans were like, "Oh, thank you so much for coming to Japan, coming all this way. Here's a bunch of like local cookies, or here's a bunch of local sweets and that kind of stuff." So yeah,
Yeah.
it was absolutely wonderful time. And also just the ability to be able to hang out with like 40 of our closest fans, people who directly support us on the Patreon, was super rewarding. I often tell people that I can't relive seeing something for the first time. Like you can't like go and see like a natural wonder and then go back and see it again with fresh eyes. But the second best thing is when you can bring someone, a friend or someone you care about, and show that to them, and you get to kind of re-experience that wonder, but through them. And so that's one of the things that I love the most about these Japan tours, the sort of sight see by day, follow us on tour by night kind of package. I can bring people around and see them experience like eating takoyaki, eating like fried octopus balls for the first time, and I can be like, "Oh, come on," So I really enjoy that aspect of it quite a bit, So
Wow, dude. So you're bringing fans to Japan? Like, what is? I've never heard of this. Explain.
yeah, I don't think any other band has done this before. But so like the way that we are able to do so, touring Japan is really expensive.
Sure.
And it's out of reach. It's definitely out of reach for almost every band in terms of like from a DIY approach. Most bands that go over to Japan will play like a couple shows, in a couple major markets, and maybe they'll be supporting like a major band like Dragon Force or something like that, right? And so, for bands that would really like to tour Japan but don't have the ability to do so, we kind of came up with this idea of putting together essentially a fan tag along kind of package for them. So the first time we went over to Japan, we had 25 of our Patreon backers that signed up for, essentially like we're going to put together a tour package for Japan. And you get to tag along and get tickets to all the shows, stay in the same hotels as us, go do like sightseeing experiences by day, and then you go to all of the shows by night. And we have like little fun themed things that we do. And so, the ability for us to do that, to put together a package tour like that, actually helped us convince venues that we could be booked there. Because you're suddenly saying, hey, we're this band from America and we want to come play your venue, and they're like, yeah, it's like, oh, but we're bringing 54 people every night, and they're like, I'm sorry, what? And a lot of these venues, you got to remember, like venues in Japan are a lot smaller than venues in the United States or in Europe. So like 54 people may very well be like 25% capacity, So it's like, oh, we've already sold out a quarter of your, like guaranteed sold out a quarter of your venue, and there's going to be drink sales, and these people are fun and rowdy, and you're going to love it. So we partnered with a touring like a Japan tour company, essentially. A guided tour is what I was trying to say, like a guided tour company that a friend of mine runs from college. And he specifically does only Japan, and specifically does really hyper personalized tours. And I said to him, hey, if you ever tour Japan, would you want to do like a Lords of the Trident themed tour? And we could bring along, 10 to 15 to 20 people. And he's like, oh my God, yes. And that's what we did in 2022. And the whole tour was like, we went to like a fire festival, where like people were like fighting with lanterns and shit was catching on fire. It was all very like metal and Lords of the Trident themed. It was very fun. And then this time we, since we took along so many more people, we kind of spread the theme out a little bit. We had some things that were a lot more closer to like Seven Spires theme stuff. There was a lot of stuff that was more Lords of the Trident stuff, but everybody had just a great time. It was really fun. So, and it's like comparatively cheap. We I'm talking, like 2.5 weeks in Japan. You're staying in 4 to 5 star hotels. A lot of meals are covered. All of your transportation is covered. You have 6 full-time, fully fluent translators with you at all times. And I think the total cost for people to do that was like $4,800.
What?
Yep.
Well, I had like a joke to make and now I forgot it. Like what?
Yep.
4,800?
Here at Lords of the Trident, we're all about value.
Wow, dude, that's incredible.
Yep.
I remember the joke though. Okay, so if you guys are Lords of the Trident, are all those fans like peasants of the Trident? Following you around doing your bidding, or?
Oh, there are minions.
Minions.
They heed our decrees. But yes, we could get a few peasants here and there. That's probably good for the for the agronomy.
You need something like, the Grateful Dead at the Deadheads. You guys need a name for this. Demon, yeah, minions might work, but that's more like demons of the Trident.
We did minions for like the longest time, like before the Minion movies came out, and now I just feel weird using it. I like minions, but not like that. But not like your 55-year-old aunt. Not like that. Not like
Awesome. Hey, so we're here to talk about Mad with Power for 2025. Yes. Wow, I almost forgot what year it was. I'm getting old. So
what? You don't have to speak up. I can't hear you very well. Oh.
I said I'm getting old, not you. But yeah, I went for the first time last year, had an absolute blast, and I'm like, I'm in this for life now. It was kind of like I do that with 70,000 tons of metal. I wonder if I probably have to stop going to festivals because I'll never take a normal vacation ever again. But hey, so this year, let me see if I can remember the entire lineup.
All right, I'm gonna quiz you.
Yeah, sure. Dream Evil.
Yep.
Plane. Striker. Witharo. Yep. Bit Brigade, Lords of the Trident. Sorry, that's my saying when I need to stall because I'm forgetting. Dread Crew of Oddwood.
Yep.
It's Dread Crew, not Dead Crew, right?
Dread Crew, yep.
Yeah. Firewind. How the hell did I forget them?
Firewind, yep.
Oh, man. All right, I'm at 8 out of 10, right? Oh, Nanowar Steel. How did I forget them?
Yep.
Oh, man, who am I forgetting?
Oh, you got one from Japan.
I remember seeing this preview last year, but I forgot the name.
Bright Ear.
Right. Okay.
Yep. And you got Dem Boys from North Carolina.
Aether Realm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then finally we have Oriad.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So that's quite a lineup. Is this Aether Realm's first time? Are they a repeat?
No, they're a repeat. They actually headlined. I want to say 2022, I think they headlined. Yeah, they headlined one of the nights in 2022. It was them and Psychostick, I think. Yeah.
Oh. So, is that the first time you ever repeated?
No. The first repeat was actually Mega Colossus in 2021, and that's just because I am like probably one of the world's biggest Mega Colossus fans. So, and they're like they're one of our like band best friends. So like we've toured with them so much. They actually like hanging out with them was the impetus of creating the phrase or even the idea of the new wave of nice metal buds. That was due to Mega Colossus, and like a one-off conversation that we had with them. So I love them to death. They're one of those, I listen to a lot of my friends' music. And I like a lot of my friends' music. But Mega Colossus is one of those bands where it's like, I know all of their lyrics. Like if their singer had a stroke, I mean, like put me in, coach. I got it. Like I fucking love Mega Colossus so much. And I think I think more people should know about them. And so I'm very, very ready to put them on basically any show that I book.
Hell yeah, man. So this year's lineup, you're stealing my thunder because I was going to ask about New Wave of Nice Metal Buds, but that's later.
Yeah.
So Dream Evil, that's their first U.S. appearance in how long?
Well, they did Prog Power last year, but they haven't been in the U.S. in, many, many years in terms of like recently. I couldn't even tell you. I don't even know. I mean, it's got to be at least a 10, 15-year span that they haven't regularly been in the U.S. Part of the big reason we wanted to do Dream Evil this year or just in general, was when Lords of the Trident first started. We had this conversation of like, who do we kind of want to base our sound off of? Who do we want to like, be our like kind of main influence as we start to write music? And we agreed it was Dream Evil.
Really?
Yeah. And because I love Dream Evil. And especially like the first 3-4 albums, I'm like, oh, mwah, gorgeous. So the fact that we now, 16 years later, are having Dream Evil headline the festival that we run is pretty awesome. And selfishly, I've never been able to see them live. Much like Anthem, I think Anthem was the same thing last year. I'm like, I love Anthem so much, and I've never been able to see them, and I don't think I will be able to see them unless I fight the U.S. Immigration Service for tooth and nail for 5 months and get them on a stage over here. So yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I got to say, Anthem, when I first heard that, I thought it was like, this is a little strange stylistically, but it was definitely a nice way to close out the festival last year. Like they were just so much fun.
I knew that Anthem was a bit of a coin flip in terms of poll, because I haven't been in the U.S. in like 34 years since that last appearance, and so I was thinking like it's either going to be like they're either going to pull out just a ton of people or almost nobody, but the people who do show up to see them are just going to be smiling ear to ear the entire time, and that's essentially what happened. So like everybody had just a great time. I had a ton of people coming up to me who'd never heard of this band before, who were just like, oh, and I'm like, yep, right. You're welcome.
I very much enjoyed that. I mean, I enjoyed everybody last year, but Anthem was probably the biggest, like, I don't know what to expect out of this. I mean, the whole power metal sound you were saying, you like, influenced by Dream Evil, and then Anthem is quite a bit different, but I was like, damn, like live, this just works so well. But anyway, so you got Dream Evil. 2 stupid guest spot questions. 1, are you going to get up there and sing Chasing the Dragon?
I mean, TBD, We'll see. I did do a pretty fun cover of Children of the Night with Jason Ashcraft a year, maybe 2 ago, where I bought a bunch of silver paint and like painted my face, a la the old Book of Heavy Metal Dream Evil music video. So I mean, I look, if they ask me to sing anything with them, the answer is yes, 100% yes. Like I will 100% do it.
The other stupid nerd / I'm becoming a virgin again question. You got Firewind on 2. Gus was one of the original Dream Evil guys. Was that intentional on your part?
I mean, wouldn't it be interesting, if after how many years of Gus G not being in Dream Evil, if maybe there was a once in a lifetime guest appearance between Gus G and Dream. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying there's potential. I'm saying that that maybe an amount of cheese curd lubrication could maybe bridge the divide, and allow something to happen. I mean, we just have to figure out what style of spice to throw. Are they a garlic dill cheese curd band? Are they are they like a spicy cheese curd band? We got to just figure that out, and then and then nature will heal. That's all I'm saying. So I can't guarantee anything, but I'm just saying, they're in the same room, so you never know.
You keep throwing me these like tangents that I have to resist talking about because I want to talk about the lineup. But remind me later on cheese curds because I got this really kick-ass story on that. Oh yeah, so that would be awesome. But as you're saying, that would be interesting, not a guarantee. That would. I can't
guarantee anything, but I will say that your mind is similar to where my mind is currently at. Where I'm like,
I try. I try.
I have to like these Beanie Babies. I will take Firewind and Dream Evil and be like, now kiss, now kiss.
Right, I'm gonna cut that out of the interview and just use that as a reaction shift going forward.
I am currently at my in-laws, and for some reason there's a big bucket of Beanie Babies underneath this table. So I have to use the props when I've given them.
Are you just asking me to embarrass you and make you say embarrassing stuff so your in-laws can hear?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Okay,
they're used to it by now. They I've been in this band for 16 years. There's nothing that embarrasses me at this point.
So okay, so we got those. You want to talk about like? It seems like you do a video game band every year. That's Bit Brigade, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I try to, one or two. I try to do because I mean, it is arcade and pinball themed and all that sort of stuff. So, and like I just legitimately really enjoy VGM, just in general. I've been trying to make it out to Magfest for a million years. Actually, Brian just played our guitarist just played Magfest. He's got a little side project where he does like video game shred. For those of you who are not familiar with Magfest, it's a music and gaming festival. It's the biggest like video game music festival in the world, as far as I know. But yeah, so Bit Brigade has been a band that I actually booked. Believe it or not, I booked Bit Brigade in 2020,
oh,
and yeah, and that didn't obviously happen. So we've been trying to get them back, and one thing that has worked very well to sort of lubricate the wheels a little bit is that Taylor from Paladin is in the band now. And so, Paladin played Matt with Power, so it was easy for him to be like, dude, Matt with Power rules, let's go play this. So yeah, and they played Madison many times before. They always sell out or get close to selling out of a place. And if you haven't seen Bit Brigade before, it is astonishing. They don't have a lead singer; they have a lead speed runner. So they have a guy sitting in a little easy chair, and he's playing a Nintendo game live, and they project it behind you. And while he plays that game, the band plays the music and the sound effects from the game, like while he plays it in real time, and he tries to speed run a game. So like, he'll beat Mega Man 2 in like 15 minutes, or he'll
oh.
beat DuckTales in like 8 minutes flat, or something like that.
Does he
You know.
use warps for Mario?
I guess it depends on the game, but I think they mostly go for, amount of time rather
Yeah,
than amount of completion. Just because, if they
of
beat
course.
usually when I see them, they'll play like two games. So they'll
Yeah.
beat like Castlevania in like 11 minutes, and then they'll beat Legend of Zelda in like 25, and then there's your gig. You're
Yeah,
like 40 minutes in. That's it. So
that's hilarious. I actually didn't know that, and no, I haven't seen them. They're based
yeah.
out of the U.S., I presume. If you,
Yep. I
yeah,
believe they're in like Atlanta area. Yeah.
okay. That's it. You brought up the visa thing. I know we talked a little bit about that last year, but foreign bands this year. We've got Dream Evil, Firewind, Elaine, right? Are they
Yep.
Swedish?
Yep.
Um, I already forgot the one from Japan. Fuck me, I'm an asshole.
Right ear.
Thank you. Is that
Man of War Steel.
Oh
Striker.
God!
Lutharo.
Oh, Canadians. I wasn't considering them foreign because I'm a.
Yeah.
There's a joke there, but let's not. Sorry. Yeah. Totally killer fucking lineup this year. Like, do you just pick the best bands you can find? Do you think about like synergies, like the one we just talked about? Like, what's your process for this?
So Kyle and I, Kyle, who's been helping me kind of with the fest for the last couple of years, we typically have kind of a running. Well, there's two ways that we do it. We have a running list of bands that we think would be like good headliner material, or bands that are bigger. And then we also have a sign up form on our website that feeds a spreadsheet. And essentially, maybe about a year and a half before the next year's fest, we will go through that spreadsheet line by line, and we'll look at every single band that has applied, and kind of like see where they're at, see if they put out anything lately, see what how their numbers are doing, that kind of stuff, and just generally listen to the music that they've done, and just kind of see if we like it. And then we will, from that spreadsheet, we'll sort of whittle it down to the bands that we think are either our favorites or the best suited for the festival. And then we'll start to make a list, and then we'll put together like a God, I hope this works budget. And then we just start emailing people. And that's basically all there is to it. Sometimes there's mild themes that kind of come naturally, but I don't think we ever really specifically look for a theme. The only time we try to do a theme was I think it was Matt with Power 7. maybe was it last year? It was the one where we was it no, it was. I'm sorry, I'm thinking like we had one where it was a Mega Man theme,
Ah.
and we wanted to get the Proto Men to headline.
Hmm.
We've been trying to get the Proto Men to play Mad with Power for probably 6 years.
Hmm.
And I think at this point I've just given up because they
Oh,
just
man.
don't respond anymore. One of my favorite bands. I love the Proto Men. But other than that, no, we typically just kind of put together a lineup that we think that we like, and we hope other people will like as well. We try to skirt the line between. I mean, especially now, it's a little bit more difficult now that we are um, in a bigger venue and we are more beholden to Ticketmaster and to
Yeah.
things like that, and more beholden to we have a baseline price for this venue that we have to cover. So that I don't have to sell my house and move in with my in-laws down here. Um, so so there is we do try to toe the line between bands that we think are good and need attention, and also bands that will pull people out to buy tickets. And I think we struck a pretty good balance this year. I hope we struck a good balance this year because of the visa issues that we've been running into because of um, this year they changed the visa laws where now it is essentially a coin flip whether it goes to either California to get processed or Vermont to get processed.
Yeah.
And for those people who are not familiar with the wonderful U.S. visa process, you pay. You have to pay. You should do it through a lawyer because if you make one mistake on the form, the immigration services keeps all of your money, which is about $1,800, $1,900, and they say, "Good luck, try again." So we go through a law firm. So applying to for a visa, which is called a P1, a performance visa, is $4,000 to $5,000 just for the attempt. You can't apply for this P1 visa more than 6 months before the event. So we can't apply more than 6 months before the festival starts this year. There's two places in the United States where the visas get processed: Vermont and California. Vermont has a 1 to 3 month processing turnaround time, so they're pretty fast. California has a 4 to 7 month turnaround time. And if you're suddenly saying to yourself, "Wait a minute, I thought you couldn't apply for a visa more than
Yep.
6 months," you're right. You're right. And once this new administration took office, the California processing time went from 4 to 7 months to 10 to 18 months. So if it goes to California, you're fucked. You cannot, you will not get your visa processed in time, like full stop. So what do you do? Well, they offer expedited processing that they say, we'll guarantee we'll look at your visa within 15 business days and get you a result. That expedited processing is $3,000 extra per application. So we learned about this, a month into the process, that we are almost certainly guaranteed to expedite every single visa application. So I had to find an extra $12,000 out of my butt, to pay for these expedited visas. So this year you're saying it's a good lineup. I hope a lot of people come this year. Our break even amount of tickets that we need to sell is way, 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 way too high it's way higher than I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
Last year we broke even by $100. We've never lost money as a festival. That's something that I've been very, very proud of. Last year was the closest we ever came, and it's mostly just because people did not buy pre-sale tickets.
Yeah.
And it's not just us. We're seeing this across the board, and I completely understand it. Ticket prices are insane and out of control. Most people don't even look at the price that we put on the website. our fest comparatively to every other fest
Oh, it's so much cheaper.
is extraordinarily cheap. We're 3 times cheaper than Prague Power. I don't even know how many times cheaper we are than 70K. I mean, like we are essentially the cheapest, 2-day festival in the United States, and then you get free arcade and pinball. So it's one of those things where it's like, man, I really really hope that that people show up this year. So
Yeah, I mean, again, hats off to you. So it's like $120, right? I think for a 2-day ticket this year.
we had increased it to 135 to find that $12,000 that I needed to pop out of my butt for some reason.
Yeah. I mean,
But 135 for 2 days, and 60 to 70 all you can play arcade and pinball machines, and the cheese curd massacre, and the pre-party, and the upstairs gaming room, which is all free. I mean, there's and the giveaway bags, and there's so much extra that we do. So like it's so worth it. It's such a drop in the bucket, comparatively. So.
Oh, absolutely. Like as a consumer, no, I love this. The only like kicker, although this is true for the other ones too, is that flying to Madison is not always terribly convenient. Flying to Atlanta is easy, but yeah, you are still so much cheaper. And
we do get that. There's a lot of people who look at the upfront costs, and Madison is not a cheap airport to fly into. There's options to fly into Milwaukee or Chicago, and there's very very cheap buses to and from Chicago to Madison and Milwaukee to Madison. But the response that I say to that is, yes, you are correct. Flying into Madison is way more expensive than flying into Chicago, flying into Atlanta, flying into Milwaukee. You're 100% right. However, our hotels are probably half the cost. Our food is probably half the cost. You don't have to pay for parking, and you're not paying $35, every hour for parking like you do in Chicago. There's a little bit more upfront cost, which causes some sticker shock. But then once you get to Madison, it's a Midwest town. Everything's cheap. Like you're not paying California prices for your hamburger. I mean, it's like you make that money up and then some in just being in Madison. So
I'm not sponsored by this restaurant, by the way, but got to say, quality and amount. When I went to the Tipsy Cow last year, I looked at my bill. I live in Manhattan, by the way, so I'm like,
oh,
this is incredible. How is it this cheap? Like, are they harvesting my organs at the end? But,
Yep.
Yeah. So
welcome to Wisconsin. This is welcome to the Midwest.
And you could tell everything was like fresh too, because dairy, I guess. But before I lose you, a couple other like silly questions, I guess. Do you have a white whale? You just said Proto Men, but is there a band you've always wanted to book and just were not able to?
Man, that's a good question.
You could say Blind Guardian. I'm not going to judge you, but
no, Blind Guardian. Like I've seen them so many times. Blind Guardian is actually not my white whale. Man, I like if you were to ask me this about arcade cabinets, I have a white whale arcade cabinet.
Okay, what's that one?
well, let me just think about this for a second, because if I had to answer that, I think, man, this would be really niche. Nobody would know. Nobody would know who this is, and it certainly wouldn't sell any tickets at the festival whatsoever. So I would never do it. But if I had unlimited money and I could wave a magic wand and do anything, there's this Japanese band called No Regret Life. They're kind of like the Japanese Weezer, but they're like heavier. And they broke up years ago, but I was just the biggest fan of theirs. I imported every single CD. I even got like the singles. I loved them. And I never got to see them live. So that would probably be, if I could break time and space and do anything, it would be that. Outside of that, man, that's a really good question. I don't know. It's funny because we had a lot of these delusions of grandeur when the fest was starting up, and we were talking about like, hey, maybe someday we'll book Camelot or Symphony X or Dragon Force or whatever. And now like they're all just sort of legitimate. Like, yeah, we could do maybe a Camelot, maybe a Symphony. Like they're sort of like it's sort of very regular. Possibilities at this point. I mean, I think also the fact that we were Brian got to play with Dragon Force and that we got to hang with Sam for so long was, I think that will hopefully help our chances at getting Dragon Force in the future over here. But man, that's a really good. I guess I'd have to think on that for a little while, other than the No Regret Life, something more power metal related and something a little bit more doable. I probably would have said Anthem, but then I did it.
Fair. Oh man, you're definitely living up right now. I thought you'd have like some prepared answer for some niche thing, but the No Regret. Sorry, was that it? No Regret what?
No Regret Life.
No Regret Life. I was like, okay, there's a band I've never heard of. That's the most Thai thing I've ever heard of.
If people out there want to sample some No Regret Life, their first major album, which I think is called Sign, is just a absolute heavy ass banger, front to back, really good. It's a lot more kind of pop punk Weezer, but really heavy guitars. The vocalist sounds like he is going to shred his own like voice box off every single time he sings, but in like the best way, in like a Bob Seger sort of a way, where you're like, ooh yeah, give me more of that, So I love that band quite a bit. If anybody's a fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure on Netflix, this is a very strange tangent, but the No Regret Life singer, after the band dissolved and he quit the band, he became a singer for like anime theme songs, and he did the anime theme song for the new version of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure on Netflix. So if you've watched that, you've heard the singer.
No way.
Yep.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. White Whale Arcade Cabinet. There is an arcade cabinet called Sonic Blast Man. Came out. It was produced by Taito. I want to say it came out in 92 or 93. It looked like a big giant pinball machine, but it was essentially the first punching game in punching arcade game that was out there. And it's still a very, very big series and very, very popular in Japan. In fact, when we went to Japan this last time, just a couple months ago, I found a Sonic Blast cabinet and had a hell of a time playing it. And I was just like, ah! But they released one version, the original version, Sonic Blast Man, in America, 1992, 1993. Okay? So there's this big target that comes up and it goes, brrr, right? And you punch it, and it measures your pounds per square inch when you punch it. And you get like 3 tries, and you have to get over a certain pound per square inch. And there's like a TV monitor where it's, like there's level 1 is like there's this thug that's like, he's like, beating up a lady, and you got to beat him up. And like level 2 is you have to like punch a meteor out of the sky or something. It's crazy. Yeah, you have to stop a bullet train by punching it. But
not the hydraulic door.
Yeah, yeah, right. The interesting thing was on the arcade cabinet, it came with 2 boxing gloves, and there was warning signs all over the arcade cabinet saying, wear the boxing gloves. You must wear the boxing glove to play this. You will injure yourself if you do not wear the boxing gloves. Wear the boxing gloves. Well, in Japan, where people generally follow the posted rules, no problem. In America, they're like, I don't need no goddamn punching glove. I don't need, And so a bunch of people played it and broke their wrists.
Nice.
And they sued Taito. And Taito, instead of dealing with the lawsuits or whatever, they were just like, okay, fuck this. No more America. We're not doing America anymore. This sucks. Like,
man.
And so what they did is they told every arcade not only to get rid of the Sonic Blastman cabinets, they told them to destroy.
Oh, fuck that.
So they said destroy all the cabinets.
Yeah.
Right. Taito said destroy them all. And as far as I'm aware, all of the arcades did that. And so my White Whale cabinet, I know that there's got to be somebody out there. There's got to be somebody out there who just squirreled it away. But not only have I never been able to find one, arcade museums and people like Galloping Ghost in Chicago, who keep collections of the world's largest arcade collections, they haven't been able to find one either. And so that is a American version of Sonic Blastman 1 would be my White Whale. That would be I'm going to mortgage my house to own this. I only saw one once that was in questionable quality. It was like somebody found something at the back of their uncle's, either their dead uncle's, like
Yeah.
garage, and it looked like a Sonic Blast One. It was in New Jersey, and I called the guy up, and I was hitching up my trailer, and I'm like, I am coming, like hold that for me, I am coming, you know. And somebody bought it before I could make it out there. So
Oh man. Oh
yeah.
fuck.
So, but
I
yeah,
love it. Wow.
that's my white whale.
For, just for viewers, FYI, we ran out of time, so we had to start a second Zoom meeting because I'm a cheap ass and don't pay for pro. But, ladies and gentlemen, Ty Christian, the best
Hey.
interview I've ever had. Cool. So, before we move on to like the ethos of the festival, despite all your, I guess, financial, I don't want to say woes, but burdens, let's say.
Yeah, financial
You-
stress.
Stress. Oh, great. You sold out in, was it 7 minutes this year?
We sold out of
VIP,
VIP
I mean, sorry.
tickets.
Yeah,
We
sorry.
sold out in 6 minutes this year, which was our fastest sellout ever. And it was good because we built a new infrastructure, a new back end. It seems like every year we've been building a new ticketing back end to not destroy the website when like 500 people try to buy a ticket at the same time. So very happy that it held this year, and very happy that we were able to sell out all of the VIP tickets in 6 minutes. That goes a long way to help funding the fest. But at the end of the day, I think it funded roughly like a fifth of the total amount of like price that we need to cover for this year, which is not saying that it's nothing. I don't want to like downplay it or anything. It's just like kind of explaining the amount of financial burden that this year, especially with all the visas, are really causing for us. So please buy tickets. Please come to Meta Power Fest. Please. But yes, I'm very, very happy about that. Very, very proud that that we have such a dedicated fan base for this festival, where people legitimately want to continue to support us in that way. And it's just really humbling. It's really nice to see that sort of support from people, and to kind of know that you're doing what you're doing resonates with people, especially in the way that we do it, and sort of the manner that we conduct the festival, and the manner that we talk about the new wave of nice metal buds and things like that. So I'm glad that was something that a lot of people wanted in their lives, and that resonated with a lot of people for sure.
Man, absolutely. So that was like you just segued really well into the other big thing I want to talk about here. So I guess my own story with Mad with Power. I'd heard of you, but I'm an East Coast asshole. So my thoughts of like, why would I go to the middle of the country? I'm half joking. I actually had been to Madison before, but
Yeah.
When I hear Fellowship is playing, I'm like, okay, fuckers, I'm in. And so that's about a year ago. And I start reading your website, and I just see this. Was it your code of conduct, or like just general tenets? One of the first things I read is like, life is not zero sum, and that just. Yeah. And obviously the rest of it was, in that vein. And you show up and everybody's smiling and helping each other out. And, a lot of metal festivals might have something like this, the old mosh pit ethos. Somebody falls down, pick them up.
Yep.
But I think you really nailed this better than any other metal community I've ever seen. Like,
thank you.
Where does this come from? Is this just Midwestern kindness? Like, tell me.
A lot of it actually is not, I won't say direct copied, but, it is heavily inspired by so I've been practicing and teaching Taekwondo for about 22 years, and I am very lucky in that I fell into a club that is extremely traditional, and has been a free club for as long as I've been in it, and even prior iterations of it in different areas were totally free. So I have been essentially getting free Taekwondo lessons, and now, for the last, I don't even know, 15 plus years, like volunteering and teaching. And we have, Taekwondo aims to achieve, and tenets and things that we've talked about. And we have I'm extremely lucky to have a very amazing, like grandmaster in our system, who is probably one of the most perceptive people that I've ever met. And every year when he comes by, he does these little sort of mini lectures, because like me, he ends up just talking and never stopping. But he does so in such a very profound way. And he's able to, I've never seen a man so perceptive. He like has a natural 20 perception no matter what. To give you a concrete example and sort of part of the ethos of what I'm talking about. He walks into the club. He just got off a plane. He's in Boston. He's the dean of the medical school and Harvard, right?
What?
Yeah. So he walks off of he walks out of the plane. Never met us before, or never met, there's yellow belts testing. Never met these people before. Sits down and he's watching them kick, right? Never talked to them, never seen them, doesn't know anything about them, right? After about 5 or 6 kicks, he walks up slowly, hands behind his back, and they're still kicking. He walks over to this young woman, and he stops her and he says, "I just wanted to ask you, do you have an older sister, older brother, something like that?" And she said, "Yes, older sister." And he looks at her and he puts his hand on his shoulder, and he says, "She's not here now. It's okay to try." And he turns around and walks away.
Oh,
Yeah. Like, and she looked like she got hit by a ton of bricks. And all of us who know her know that she has this really rough relationship with her older sister. So this is what I'm talking about, where he has this sort of power to see through anyone like glass. And so a lot of the things that he's talked about are essentially one-to-one or just echoes of the things that I put down in those aims to achieve for the new wave of nice metal buds, because I thought it was so applicable to our environment, and things that people frankly wanted to hear, needed to hear. Maybe if nobody else, just I wanted to hear and needed to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm transferring the love that he's given to us, hopefully into love for the community, and love that people can take and transfer into their own lives and move that along. So.
Sorry, I know when this turns into a recording, it's mostly going to be you, but my jaw was down for like 35 seconds after that line.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
I mean, if you imagine what you felt, imagine what the rest of us in the room, we were like.
I've never known this person, but still, I'm like, I'm imagining somebody told me that like the first time I did karaoke or something. Like,
yeah,
what the hell?
Yeah,
Holy shit!
He's amazing and profound, and one of these guys that's just like, he like a guru essentially, but not in a weird way.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, I hear you, and that's wow. That's I don't even know what to say to that. I'm just floored. That's incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, for real. As an attendee, I think like there was a real sense of like, what were there, like 800 people there? I'm sorry, I'm bad with numbers.
Last year it was 950.
950. I wasn't that far off. I was within 20%, which is not a lot. It felt like a family. And like, a lot of people say that about a lot of metal shows. Like, you see Megadeth and everyone there hates Metallica or something, but this was different.
Yep.
And I really did appreciate that. So it's that sensei, sorry, was that the term, sensei, or just?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's something else in Korean, but it's fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I actually took Taekwondo when I was like 6. I just remember very little. But I'm surprised you didn't pull the joke because you made it last year, but you put the tie in Taekwondo.
I put the tie in Taekwondo. Oh yeah.
There you go. We have that on camera from when we talked at the festival last year.
I get that joke. Like I use that joke constantly. So it's it's a
oh okay.
Oldie but a goodie.
Sure. But hey, how long do you see this? Like, you can be as open ended as you want with this. Like, I want this shit to continue forever. Shameless plug here. Brutally Delicious did sponsor the festival this year. We were one of the VIPs. And that was less of, I don't know, that's really just, I love this festival and I want it to continue.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
When you take on these challenges every year, so you said, how many foreign bands is it? 4 or 5 times $8,000? Like,
yeah, I mean, there's 6. Luckily,
6. Fuck.
Yeah.
Well,
luckily, a few of them had visas already.
Yeah.
So right now we're preparing, I believe, 4 or 5 visa packages.
Okay, so something like $32,000 in visa costs. I don't know, man. Like you're doing this out of love for the community and not like, let's make it. There's a sustainability joke here, but I haven't had enough coffee. Yeah, so like Go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't do this. So I haven't ever taken any money from the festival, despite, I mean, hundreds and thousands of hours of work and stress and, stuff like that. Um, I think mostly because as a person in a band, I've run into countless individuals in the music industry who are jerks, unscrupulous, do things to make money, dick over bands for no good reason, um, inflate ticket prices to make additional money, and then under deliver on the promises they do. There's so much extra bullshit in the music industry that really doesn't need to be there, and frankly doesn't exist in, I mean, almost any other industry, maybe, maybe movies, but like, there's so much extra bullshit in the arts. You never go to like an accounting convention and you hear about how like, oh yeah, Dale was supposed to do the pivot tables and he totally just took their money and fucking ran to Jamaica, man. Crazy, crazy Bill. What's going on? Like that doesn't happen in any other industry. And frankly, I don't think it should happen because it's like, man, we're all struggling for the little tiny itty bitty piece of the penny that's left behind. And most of us are doing this for the love of it and for the love of the music and the love of the community and just, being up on stage and having fun. And so I really wanted to be able to exude and show to people that like, yes, you can run a festival, and have it be profitable, without like selling your soul or being shitty or promising bands things and then pulling the rug out from under them. You can run a festival and keep tickets low and still pay for all of these things, still break even. It is possible to do this. It is, you don't have to give in to the idea that like money has destroyed the entire industry and it will corrupt everyone forever. And so like that's essentially, what I'm trying to do with this. I'm trying to keep ticket prices low because a lot of people do feel like they have been, myself included, feel like they have been priced out of other festivals, there, especially nowadays, especially, and not to name one specific festival, but like there are, you look at any of the current festivals, big or small, and I mean, tickets are insane. Even just tickets to regular things are insane right now. And I think a lot of that has to do with, greed, essentially. And I'd like to be able to show that we can run a festival that's amazing, that's centered around the fans, that's centered around the idea of, no bullshit for the attendees or the bands, that's centered around the idea of essentially like a big family reunion every year. And we don't have to make it, about the money. We don't have to make it about the screwing you over for, $18 for a bottle of water or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that, that's a lot of where this came out from. And I think too, there's this mistaken idea amongst bands too that that there's some sort of zero sum game happening here. And I mean the truth of it all is like I can be a fan of Seven Kingdoms and Seven Spires and Seventh Wonder. I can be a fan of all the seven bands. I can be 7 + 7 + 7 is fine. I don't have to minus everything there, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no rule saying that if you like Lords of the Trident, you have to hate Seven Spires. There's nothing like that. And so I think a lot of bands are looking at things in that sort of realm of like in competition. And I think there's really no reason for any of us to be in competition with each other. I think it should be exactly the opposite. I think we should be trying to help each other as much as humanly possible, so that all of us don't get screwed by the bad actors in the community. And the more people that sort of abide by that idea, that ethos, the more people that carry the aims to the new wave of nice metal buzz aims to achieve in their hearts, nobody can do them 100% of the time perfectly, but as long as you carry them in your hearts and you try to like go with that perspective of like, I'm going to make art, I'm going to help out other people, I'm going to make the community a better place, I'm going to leave the place better than I found it, then, ultimately it's going to inspire more bands in the United States to start up. Ultimately, it's going to inspire more fans to go and go to different fests, take a chance on different bands, take a chance on local bands. Ultimately, it's going to be a good thing for our community and just for the world in general, I hope. That's the major outlook on it, and so that's why the fest is run the way that it is, and that's why we try to reduce as much of the general bullshit of gestures wildly at the world from Mad with Power, so that it can be a safe space for people to have fun, to meet friends, and to make human connections with other people. We've had people that have found their next best friend at Mad with Power Fest. We've had people that have moved in together after Mad with Power Fest. I mean, there's been just tons of really amazing things. Yeah, there's been tons of really amazing things that have come out of just running this festival outside of the music. I always, I have a weird perspective because I'm in a band, and for me, I like going out and seeing live music, but the music, especially at the festivals, music is always secondary for me. I love seeing bands that I enjoy, but I like seeing bands that I enjoy for like 20 minutes, and then I start to go into analytics mode, like, oh, what microphone are they using? And ooh, what's the pickups on? Oh, look at the lights that they're using. I wonder what they're programming for that. So like the main reason that I, as a musician, go to festivals is to see the people that I only get to see like once a year. To see them in person, to give them a hug, to like catch up with them. Festivals for me have always been a family reunion and less about the music. The music is great. I love the music. I make the music, so it's great. But I really love the people, and I love the connections that we make. And so I think doing things to foster those connections is the most important thing we can do as a festival to not only make the community better, but also hopefully increase longevity. It's like what you said. You came, you saw the environment, you got the vibe of it, and you're like, okay, I'm coming back. Absolutely. We just need to do that 1,100 times and then we'll be fine, So like that, yeah, that's basically it.
Well, wow, man. That's fucking fantastic. Thank you so much. You are welcome here anytime, and it's always a pleasure talking with you.
Well, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure being here.
I think you're the first person we've ever run over the Zoom meeting time, by the way. But I was like, I can't lose him. We got to keep talking. Yeah. Bro, thank you so much.
You bet.
I don't think it overstates things to say that the Beatles were the greatest gift to entertainment and culture of our time, a secular religion, if you will, with their universal appeal and demonstrable impact on people's lives. I'm Robert Rodriguez, host of Something About the Beatles. With every episode, I speak with historians, musicians, artists, and Beatle witnesses, all in the service of fresh insights into the most joyous cultural entity the world has ever known. I hope you'll join me and listen to Something About the Beatles, now on Evergreen and wherever you get your podcasts.